Today, we're looking at Diamine's Red Dragon. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Diamine's Red Dragon is a red ink. It puts the lotion on the skin, or else it gets the hose again. Ink, very red. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples, I put the ink into a different pen for a day, I then put it into a D-like alpha with a medium nib to take my notes for this video. But before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography. And I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And what we see is it pushes up and we get this kind of yellow and orange mixture at the bottom. And then it becomes the red and it's got a very, very dark, I think, kind of brown line across the top. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And it basically looks the same. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference if I didn't have the D on that chromatography. It makes me feel that this particular ink has no real resistance to it. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on a page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it's handling itself very respectably. That extra fine becomes just about a medium nib, but it's not blowing out, not feathering, not becoming unreadable. Makes me feel safe using this in a note-taking situation. Water is reactivating and lifting all of the darker tones, but there's a lot of red left behind. I just am not sure that water has all that it's going to need to get this ink out of your pen. And Pen Flush does everything that water does and a bit more. With only 30 seconds on the paper, you start to see the white of the paper coming in all around the edges. You start to see the dots of the Rhodia dot pad. It makes me say, Pen Flush is all that I need to clean this out of my pen. And now 1/3 bleach solution is completely removing it from the paper, which is expected, even though you don't need that to clean this. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine's Red Dragon has a viscosity of 1.48, making this a wet ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's Red Dragon has an average dry time of 7 seconds, making this an incredibly fast drying ink. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. See that I can make it through the beginning of this without stumbling. Let's take a look at the Clairefontaine. There's no bleed. There's no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread. Halo, sheen, no shade. Beautiful, dark, rich, super dark on these wetter nibs. Just nice, great color. The extra fine is a lighter tone than the 1.1. It has no feather spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 4 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine. The medium has no feather spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. Smear test. You could recover it. Tomoe River. We get no bleeding, we get ghosting. The 1.1. Actually, just take a minute and marvel at the tone of red on this background. I wish Tomoe River for me was friendlier. I like to be able to see some of the sheen. I don't like having to wait for super long dry times, or not the sheen, the shade. This didn't have super long dry times, but the colors that I get on cream paper, I love them.
The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, super dark, super rich tone. The extra fine gives the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. Wow. On Tomoe River, 7 seconds. That is amazing. And I thought it was a freak until I went to medium that gave me the exact same tone as the extra fine. It had no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 13 seconds to dry. This ink dries faster than some fast dries out there. I think it even dries faster than the Private Reserve fast dries. Amazing. The Scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it and we didn't get it. In a smear test, yes, you could recover this if you smeared it while you were writing. Rhodia, no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. Just a gorgeous, dark, just amazing red. The extra fine is slightly lighter as a tone than the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 4 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the 1.1, so it's a little darker than the extra fine. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. The Scrubby for both show us no color variation. We weren't expecting it. We didn't get it. In a smear test, again, you could definitely recover it. Now, I keep looking at the smears that are very short, which makes me feel like this is a very, very dry ink. And if I'm going to take a look, because I know I record that part of the video otherwise, it's funny because the viscosity is a bit higher than normal, but it's a dry ink to write with. Look back when I'm talking about that stuff. It had been a couple minutes earlier. Next paper up is North Books. North Books has no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. It's not as dark and rich a tone as I was seeing before. I just realized I had more samples here than I wanted to do. I like to keep it at 6. I certainly do a ton of samples just to get this idea that, I am doing ridiculous amounts of paper tests and just choosing some that I think look the best or bring out what's right or wrong with papers. The tone of the 1.1 is not as dark and rich as we've had with others, even with this cream paper, but it's a faster absorbing paper, so I don't think we get to see some of the color as nice. The extra fine is the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 1 second to dry. Again, the Scrubby for both show no color variation. We didn't expect it and we didn't get it. In a smear test, you can barely smear it with the extra fine. The medium smears, I don't think you could recover the medium, but definitely could recover the extra fine. So the Inky Fingers notebook, it's like a rice paper or sugar cane. That's it, sugar cane. We get no bleeding, no real ghosting. Get these while you can if they're still out there, or somebody pick up manufacturing them. I don't know. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shading, but I don't remember seeing a lot of shading coming through on this paper. Like, I don't see sheen come through on this paper with inks that sheen. The extra fine has the same tone as I got with the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 4 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shading, 6 seconds to dry. The Scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it and we didn't get it. The smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Fabriano. No bleeding, no ghosting. I don't count that spot where I'm doing a Scrubby because I'm putting it on super thick like an animal. Just rah, in there. So because of that, I can't count that against them. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. If you have an ink that acts up this, paper, Fabriano is great to use if you have a color you like but don't have trouble finding papers. I find Fabriano tames everything, but you don't tend to get all of the shading or all of the sheen with it, but it's a fantastic paper to use. The extra fine is the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 4 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 5 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. In the smear test, you could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing, and that is all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine's Red Dragon, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I wanted a really nice green, and I chose Krishna's Thulsi. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Diamine's Red Dragon? This is a very rich, dark, beautiful red that I enjoy seeing on the paper, and I don't like a lot of red inks. This one's very nice. And the name, Too Bam, reminds me of my mother playing Mahjong when I was a child. Thanks for watching.